Welcome, everyone, to the April Progressive Voter Alliance meeting. Tonight's meeting will have two featured speakers who will each get 5 minutes to share their stories, and with time for a couple of questions directly after their presentations. Then we will open it up to anyone who would like to speak for 2 minutes. If you would like to speak tonight, please fill out a yellow card and give it to the moderator, Jim, as soon as possible. You will all speakers will get a 30-second warning, and then you will hear the bell. The PVA board here tonight includes Sharon Brightweiser, Rodger McDaniel, Klaus Hauptschut, and I haven't seen Mike Selmer yet, but he's probably on his way. Jim Erdelli and me, Marian Erdelli. PVA is a nonpartisan group conducting meetings to educate the local community on political issues, candidates, and other community, charity, and nonprofit groups in Albany County and the state of Wyoming. Please pass the bucket during the meeting. Your donations are gratefully received, and they go toward the use of this building, expenses, Zoom, and filing fees. And again, we are very grateful for any donations. Before we get started, I would like you to take a couple of minutes and meet with somebody you don't know or don't know well and share what is new and good in your life. But please, if you wish to speak tonight, fill out a yellow card like now and give it to Jim. Thank you. Okay, go find somebody you don't know.
Evening, everybody. I'm Jim Erdelli, a member of the board. I'm going to be your moderator, comedian, whatever tonight. And welcome. Good to have you. I was just noodling in the car, and I got out my calculator. This is our 90th meeting. I probably could have waited for the 100th, but taking into account we don't have a December meeting, I would have had to wait till March. So I figured, oh, the hell with it. It's 90 meetings, so, so great, that's good. Okay, just a couple of ground rules. I know you guys know this. My personal motto for PVA is respecting one another is a great thing. Also, as we speak and ask questions and respond, keep it away from the personal. That's very helpful to have a smooth meeting. This is a speakers forum. We're not a town hall. It's basically a speaker's venue. So. And also, please stay seated unless you're coming up to speak. This helps keep the room orderly. So. And as Marian said, we have two featured speakers. I don't know if she mentioned that the 2-minute speakers, and again, you guys probably all know this, but the featured speakers will get a couple of questions right after their 5 minutes. The rest of you 2-minute people will wait till all of you speak, and then we'll have a question period running through the list all over again. So everybody will have a chance to answer some questions. Okay, let's start it off. Tonight, our first, I was talking to Chelsie, we have a pretty national hot button issue coming up. Who would have thought a county issue could be nationally important? But Chelsea's going to talk about, she's our county assessor, and she's going to talk about the property tax and exemptions. That's the hot button one, right, Chelsie? So, Chelsie, welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm a shorty. Lower this way down. All right, so as Jim here said, my name is Chelsie Mathews. I'm the county assessor, and I've worked in the office for 18 years, but I'm on my 5th year as your county assessor. I'm here tonight to talk to you all about the new exemptions. So they really started taking place in 2024. So the first one I'm going to talk about, I call it the residential cap. So this one started in 2024, and it basically stated that your home, you can't pay taxes on more than 4% of an increase on your primary residence. This exemption, I actually apply automatically. So when you get your notices of value, which they will be mailed out on Wednesday, so check your mail, on there it'll say residential, and then it'll say some sort of a deduction. That's the cap. So that's just showing that your property did go up more than 4%, and this is how much you're saving. If your property didn't go up more than 4%, then you don't get the exemption. In 2025, it also went towards your residential land. So again, I apply that automatically. You don't have to do anything for this exemption. I like to bring this one up because since you don't have to apply for it, nobody talks about it. So it is something that's out there. It's something that I do automatically. The other two that I really want to bring attention to, you do have to apply for. So the first one, it began in 2025, and it's called the long-term homeowners exemption. This one you can receive up to 50% off of your primary residence and the associated land up to 35 acres. You do have to apply for it, and there are some qualifications. So you have to be age 65 or older, and you have to have paid residential property taxes in the state of Wyoming for at least 25 years. Now, it doesn't have to be the same house. It doesn't all have to be in Laramie. You could have lived in Gillette for 10 years and then Laramie for 15. You just have to show me that you've paid those taxes for 25 years. Once you've applied for it, you just have to claim it every year. So remember, if you've qualified for it, you still have to claim it every year so that I know that you still live in the same house and that you didn't move and that you still qualify. Previously, legislation had this exemption just for tax years 2025 and 2026, but this last session, they lifted that cap, and so this program is in existence from here on out until they make any changes. The other one, so if you don't qualify for the long-term homeowners, then maybe you qualify for the homeowners exemption. This one you can get 25% off, and it's off of your primary residence and the associated land. This one you also do have to apply for. So last year in 2025, legislation said all residential homes got it, so I applied it automatically. This year, if you're owner occupied, you had to apply. Unfortunately, the deadline did pass. It was March 1st, but it'll open back up on October 1st, and so mark your calendars if you missed it so that you remember to do it. And again, you have to apply for this every year. Because of the number of people that apply for this, it is all done online, but if you need help, give us a call and we will actually do it for you over the phone. The other one I wanted to bring up is brand new for 2026, and this one is actually for business owners. So it is a $75,000 exemption off of the fair market value of your business personal property. This one you don't have to apply for either. I apply it automatically. So this was the first year, and we have about 1,600 business personal property accounts. With this exemption, it wiped out about 1,100 of those. So it was a huge exemption for our business owners. The other two that have been in existence, they're not really ran through my office, but they're important to bring up, is the state property tax refund program. So the state did fund this program for another year, and it's a refund towards your 2025 property taxes. And you can apply through the treasurer. I didn't get the 30-second warning. She's right, Rodger. You can apply for this either through the Department of Revenue or our local county treasurer. And then the other one is the county property tax refund program. We'll know July 1st if the commissioners are going to vote to approve this refund again. I did bring a flyer which talks about the long-term and the homeowners. And I also brought a veterans exemption flyer and then the property tax refund brochure. And it's all on that back table. And I brought business cards too, so that if you have further questions that you don't want to ask tonight, please contact me. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Chelsie. That was
Yes.
good. So with questions, we'll entertain 2 or 3. And again, please keep the questions concise, directed right to Chelsie, and then Chelsie will make one response to one person. So, I see Jenny's hand up. So Klaus is our roving mic. So, Jenny?
My question is, how is the county going to make up the revenue that it's losing?
That's a good question. So last year we did make some cuts. If you recall, that 25% exemption went to everybody. It saved property owners about $9.4 million. The county didn't, well, all of our taxing authorities didn't take that big of a hit because we had the 2 wind farms that I had just started assessing that year. So they covered a lot of that. This year, the blow isn't quite as large because not everyone that qualified for the 25% off applied, but we're still looking at about $5.7 million cut. We had another wind farm that I started assessing that helped cover the blow. Right now we're looking at a flatline budget, so no increase but no decrease. I anticipate as the homeowners and the long-term homeowners gains more popularity, the county will have to start cutting, and I don't know what we're going to do to make up those funds, to be honest.
Another question for Chelsie, County Assessor? Going once? Okay. And Chelsie, you'll have another opportunity for this at the end. Okay. Thank you, Chelsie.
All right, thank you.
Great, good. Thanks. Our second featured speaker is a person I've known for many years involved in community matters. She's our mayor, Sharon Cumbie. And another good issue, Sharon's going to talk tonight about the special purpose excise tax, and I believe we vote on that on May 5th, correct, the second Tuesday? Okay. Sharon, Madam Mayor, welcome.
I think we're about the same size. All right. Well, thank you for having me. And I am here to talk about the 6-penny special purpose excise tax. And this tax is up for renewal on May 5. The tax funds specific capital projects only, and has been approved by the city of Laramie 6 times since 1989. So we have continuously approved this tax. So the 2026 ballot details, we have decided on a figure of $95 million, and that would be for approximately a 15-year period if there were certain windfalls such as wind energy and things like that. It would be paid off sooner, such as our last tax was paid off almost 2.5 years prior to when we thought. We came together, the city of Laramie, Albany County, Laramie Regional Airport, and the town of Rock River to negotiate what we would ask for and the percentage that would be appropriated to each entity. It was a rather lively negotiation, but well-intended, and we worked together where the county was needing a higher percentage than they normally would have taken because of the needs that they had for operational updates, especially with operational facilities. So the city of Laramie gets 48%, Albany County 46%, the regional airport 4%, and the town of Rock River 2%. So the 6-penny is a voter-approved 1% sales tax and use tax collected for specific one-time capital improvement projects rather than general operations. So once the predetermined amount for the approved projects is collected, then the tax expires. This tax has been a consistent tool for local infrastructure development, having been approved by Albany County voters, as I said, 6 times since its inception. I would like to just talk a little bit about some of the things we have accomplished using this tax. First of all, the 2001 specific excise tax resulted in the indoor ice rink acquisition and construction enhancement, the community rec center, and operation money to support the rec center. So 2001 resulted in our ice rink and the rec center. So by 2010, we were having significant issues with water and our infrastructure of water and sewer. It was crumbling underneath us. We were having up to about 150 water breaks per year, and you cannot build a community or expand economic development on a crumbling infrastructure. So we had to take care of it. So in 2010, the special purpose tax brought in about $17 million to renew our infrastructure. And I want to say that oftentimes the money that we receive through the special purpose tax becomes match money. and it can make much more money in the grant world. And so with that, we went into major reconstruction of our water system, and we are down to less than 40 breaks per year. And that has provided an infrastructure that allows us safety, security, and to build toward our future. And that's just an example of that. I did bring handouts, and they are at the back on the table. I think there are plenty for everybody. If you can take those, it describes to you, thank you, all of the projects that we have earmarked for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
A couple of questions for the mayor. Probably on anything.
Yes, sir.
Rodger?
Do you have an estimate of how much of this is paid by out of state?
Yes, sir. The estimates from the county has been 20%. So 20% of that penny tax is paid by out-of-town visitors and people that do not live in Laramie. I think it's estimated that the cost per person averages about $15 to $16 a month.
Any other questions for the mayor at this time?
I haven't seen your flyer yet, but are they going to tear up 3rd Street again? It seems like every summer they're doing something on 3rd Street.
Well, guess what? 3rd Street's not one of them this year. So we have completed the 3rd Street project, but now 4th Street and Ivinson, there's a lot of work to do. We've got some rough roads and some rough roads we travel, and our goal is to do the major work, but you cannot do the road work until you do the infrastructure under. Otherwise, you're throwing your money away. So we got the infrastructure done, and now it's time to do the roads.
One other quick question for Sharon, otherwise we'll save it for later. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Great, and we'll get back to the 2 featured speakers at the end. Now we get into our 2-minute speaker round, and the question period will be at the very end of the meeting. We'll run through all of the 2-minute speakers. We have, I don't know, 10, 11, something like that. We're getting into candidates night coming up, and I would remind candidates, you're welcome to come speak. It is an open forum, regardless of party, of course. It's always a given. But the July Monday meeting will be our usual primary night, and then September will be the general election night. So, okay, speaking of which, I mixed these up. We have Kevin Christensen. I think I met you coming in, one of the 2 of you. A candidacy for the U.S. House of Representatives. Kevin, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
I'll look to be back here in July and tell you more about what I stand for. But I wanted to just take tonight, I'm in town today, and want to introduce myself to everyone. My name is Kevin Christensen. I'm from Casper. I'm a 3rd-generation Wyomingite. I'm a UW graduate from 1989. I went active duty in the U.S. Army, where I served 27 years all over the world, 2 combat tours in Iraq. And then I came back. I was the district manager for the Bureau of Land Management out of Casper. So I managed the public lands, about 8 million acres on the east side of Wyoming, plus the state of Nebraska. And what I'm really interested in is hearing from people. That's what I'm doing right now on my campaign tour, is having people tell me what's on their mind, what they're concerned about. And that's what I'm doing here today in Laramie, seeing new people and reconnecting with some old friends. I'm a Republican running for the U.S. House of Representatives. Again, my name's Kevin Christensen.
Good. Our next 2-minute speaker, we have Eric Henderson. I'll have to talk to Eric about something. This round, Eric's going to talk about an issue regarding feeding Laramie Valley. Eric, you'll have to pick. Okay, Eric, feeding Laramie Valley, you're on.
For anybody who might not be aware, Elway Power Sports of Laramie, they are hosting a Yamaha motorcycle giveaway. That is going to be the prize, grand prize for a cornhole tournament and other efforts that are supporting feeding Laramie Valley. And that food sensitivity program is very, very dire to many. And we had Gail Woodsum on the talk shop, and she spoke about it. And I thought, you know what, this group is a fantastic group to tell. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Saturday is that opportunity. So before you go to the spring football game at 1 p.m. kickoff at War Memorial Stadium, be sure to make that Feeding Laramie Valley part of your day. Thanks. I forgot. Jim and Marian, would you please come forward? Oh, Jim's right there, and Marian, I'll deliver yours back there. Wyoming Fudge Company wants to tell you you're doing a sweet job in doing the PVA Laramie, and you and the other board members each have prizes tonight.
And do you have a...
What?
What is your political affiliation with Wyoming Fudge Company? Thank you, Eric. Okay, our next 2-minute speaker will be Brett Glass. Brett's going to talk about U.S. government bans internet routers. Did I read you right?
Yes, that is.
Okay, welcome, Brett.
Brett Glass, I operate Lariat, which is an internet service provider in Laramie, and this is the reason why I know that your Federal Communications Commission, chaired by Brendan Carr, has decided that it's going to put restrictions on internet routers. They've already gotten more expensive because of tariffs. Now, new models are not going to be imported. The reason why is that the FCC claims that they are being booby-trapped by the Chinese, and they're worried that they could suddenly start going haywire. So far there's no published proof of these claims. However, if you are at all concerned about that, one of the things we do as an internet provider is reprogram people's routers and put software in them that is not the original software, where the source code is all available and you can see that they are safe and they don't have booby traps. If anyone's interested, talk to me afterwards. I can probably take your home router and do that. I hope that the government is going to become a little more rational about this and actually reveal some sort of proof of what they're claiming. I also hope they're going to do something about the fact that there are already millions and millions of these routers in the United States, and that obviously, if they really were booby-trapping things, it may be the horse may be out of the barn. But in any case, like I said, see me afterwards if you're concerned about this, because we've already gotten some panic calls from people who are worried that their internet router might somehow be sabotaged. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Our next 2-minute speaker will be Sheriff Aaron Appelhans, is announcing his candidacy for Albany County Sheriff. How could I not have guessed that? Okay, welcome, Aaron.
Good evening, everybody. Nearly 6 years ago, I was honored with the appointment of the Albany County Commissioners to the office of Albany County Sheriff, and then honored again when the residents of Albany County voted in 2022 for me to remain in the position. After thoughtful consideration with my wife, family, and colleagues, and upon the encouragement from many county residents, I am announcing that I will seek re-election for the position of sheriff. As I came in the office, I pledged that public safety in Albany County would always be my highest priority, and that our homes, workplaces, and schools would be kept safe by the professional service and protection that our committed deputies provide. As your sheriff, I believe we've met these goals and pledge to continue focusing on these areas. Even though much has been accomplished, our work is not finished. I remain committed to ensuring public safety by continuing to be active and innovative in how we serve. I'm deeply honored and humbled by the trust of the people of Albany County has placed in me. I vow to continue to live up to the trust, and if I'm reelected as your Albany County Sheriff, if you support my mission, I would appreciate your vote in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Our next 2-minute speaker will be Emma Jones. I think I see her there. Earth Day and, Emma, do I have this right? Tuesday Roadless Rule. Do I have that? Is that close? Yeah. You can help me along here.
I didn't write anything down, so sorry if I ramble. My name is Emma Jones. I work for the Wyoming chapter of the Sierra Club as an organizer, and I have a couple of things tonight. The first is that we're hosting an Earth Day event this Friday with a bunch of other community organizations focused on water and climate change. The city will be there talking about the Dowland Ditch restoration, and it will be from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Collective this Friday. There'll be free food, there'll be education and opportunities for you all to get involved when it comes to managing our water and climate future. The second thing is, in 2001, the USDA established the roadless rule, which basically protects swaths of our national forests from further road development. Now the USDA is considering a move to potentially weaken or get rid of the roadless rule entirely. When they established the rule back in 2001, they had over 500 community meetings to basically listen to communities and what they wanted. They're holding no community meetings, sort of unsurprisingly. And so organizations across the country are working together to provide comments to the Department of Agriculture in support of keeping the roadless rule. It has a ton of positive impacts on wildlife habitat. It makes our forests more resilient from wildfire, and it's just a really important part of keeping our forests wild. And so we are hosting a community meeting next Wednesday, April 29th, from 5:30 to 7:30 to do education around the roadless rule and get ready for the draft EAS. So, and you can, I have a poster for the Earth Day event, but you can also come to me for more details. Thanks.
Thank you, Emma. Our next 2-minute speaker is going to be one of our Wyoming House representatives. He's not going to talk about candidacy, probably. Ken Chestik is going to talk about base year assessments. Okay, Representative Chestik.
Thank you, Jim. So this is more of an invitation for conversation. It's an idea that I'm working on. I'm going to be going up to Gillette in June to testify in front of the Joint Revenue Committee about an idea that can help solve some of the problems we've been hearing about even tonight. You've heard about all the exemption programs and all the things that we're doing to try and make the real estate assessment process more fair, but it's really kind of a hot mess right now. Did you realize that your property taxes hikes aren't voted on by anybody? Your property taxes get hiked not by a vote by any human being. They're hiked because of inflation in real estate values automatically. As the assessments go up, your taxes go up, and sometimes dramatically. A few years ago, we had a huge spike in some parts of the state that created gigantic property tax increases that begged for relief. So we started doing all these exemption programs and trying to find a way to minimize it. The other part of the problem is that the county commissioners, the county officials, mayors, city councils, schools have no control over their revenue. So we, as the legislature, get to cut taxes. Yay, us. We get all the glory of cutting taxes. You guys have to cut the services, and you get all the grief. It makes no sense at all. I have an idea called base year assessment, which basically is very complicated. I can't do it all in 2 minutes. You pick a year, and you freeze your assessments at that year for some X period of time, 5, 10 years. And if the local entities need additional revenue to complete their services, they vote on a tax increase, they increase the mill rate. The assessment doesn't change. The mills might go up if they have to go up to create the revenue. It creates more local control for the local officials. Local governments have control of their own budget, and it just makes more sense. It's an idea that needs a lot of work and a lot of thought, but we're starting to work on it. Happy to hear after the meeting any thoughts or ideas any of you have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I don't, I think I know who this is, Jimmy Skargard. I don't know who that is, but I think it's you. I don't understand the topic, why I got off the couch. I think I know what you're going to talk about. I don't, so, I don't. So you golf now, or is that how you got off the couch? Or what is, why did you get off the couch? Whatever, I hope it's good.
It's good, right? My name's Jimmy Skogard, and I'm gonna run for Senate against Harriet Hageman. Why did I get off the couch? I have zero political experience. I'm a regular Joe from Casper, Wyoming now. Have owned a small business for a while. Have no claim to fame, but I noticed something very disturbing in our politics. There's this idea of us versus them that keeps reoccurring over and over. And I thought, what's going on? Why is this happening? And then my sister calls me and tells me she's scared of an immigrant invading her home in rural Basin, Wyoming. And I'm like, what? And my brother starts sending me memes that are divisive in nature. I'm like, where does this stuff come from? And so I started looking into it, and I didn't like what I found. And I said, what am I going to do about that? Sit here and talk to myself on the couch, or am I going to get off the couch and do something about it? And so I decided to run for Senate against Harriet Hageman and point out some of the flaws in the political system as we have it today, where we're voting for a party rather than for a candidate. Why are we doing that? Why are we being forced into a team before even the primary system starts up? You know, what's the point of that? Oh, we want to be on the team, do we? I don't think that's necessary. I think what's necessary is we need to get back to the concepts of integrity, character, and the truth. And so that's why I got off the couch. Thank you for having me here.
It wasn't to go golfing. It wasn't to go golfing. That's right. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, that's not a bad, not a bad, it's okay. Our final 2-minute speaker, and then we'll have a major round of questioning everybody all over again. Ed Consul's going to talk about data centers. Ed, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Normally, I try and get as much information into the 2 minutes as I can. I wanted to try something a little different tonight and get some answers to some questions. How many of you have heard about the rapid growth of data centers around the country? Oh, good. Well, then that might end the whole thing right here. I don't need to say anything. What's that? Oh, it's it? Yeah, okay. How many of you can name 3 problems with a data center located in your community? Uh-oh, what happened? The hands dropped to less than half. Well, one of them is energy demands and the rise in energy costs, but I've got a whole list here. Who heard about the 2-day closed-door meeting in Jackson where federal representatives, our governor, state representatives and workers, along with some local officials, met with the top companies running data centers? How many heard about this meeting? It was April, well, this went down to almost nothing. Well, it happened. April 1st and 2nd, they had it. It was closed door. Nobody from the public was allowed, and no one from the press was allowed. All right? Let's get a little closer to home. How many of you are aware of a meeting at which the benefits of data centers from Cheyenne people were presented to the county commissioners? We're down to 2. How about to the Planning and Zoning Board for the county? And by the way, we have no regulations for data centers. One last question. How many of you know about Project Buckhorn? I'm down to 1, 2, Buckhorn. If you Google it, you will find out that we have a Buckhorn Tavern downtown. I think we already knew that. This Project Buckhorn could bring data centers to Laramie. I'm out of time.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, so now, for those of you who may not know, first of all, just so you don't panic, traditional meetings go from 7 to 8. We run over. We've been here as late as speaking part. You're welcome to stay. Marian and I stay till close to 9, but sometimes we go to quarter after. So don't panic. The official meetings are 7 to 8, plus a few extra minutes. So, all right. If you have a hand go up for a question, since we're live streaming, it's hanging off the wall there. And by the way, that's why we moved this. Well, the church moved it up because the live streaming was only showing the tops of heads. So the church moved it, so now we can see faces, so that's why this is up here. So, all right. So if you see a hand go up and Klaus comes to you, please, speaker, hightail it back so you're on live stream and we see your response. I know it's a lot of track work, but okay, so we're going to start from scratch. Chelsie, any questions for Chelsie on the property tax exemptions, county assessor? Anything for Chelsie? Okay, Lynn, Chelsie, you'll have to. And let's be pretty fluid with this.
I have a question on the long-term one. Okay.
Sure.
So I lived in Laramie. I've lived here twice.
Okay.
But I had I know, don't boo, but I had a spot where I moved to Fort Collins for a couple years.
Glad you're back.
Does it have to be consecutive 30 years, or can I count the first part and the second part?
Does not have to be consecutive, and it's only 25 years.
Oh.
Okay, another question. I think I saw Denise.
Same question.
Same question? Okay, anything else for Chelsie? Thanks, Chelsie.
You guys are easy on me tonight.
Yeah, real easy.
I'll come back.
Yeah.
Please do.
Anything to ask Mayor Cumbie on the excise, the proposed tax coming up in May? Anything for the mayor? Wow. Emma, you want? Oh. Okay. I think we have Sylvia and then Emma. Sylvia?
Hi, you talked about having some controversial discussions about what should be on the list. And I guess I'm just curious what some of those issues were that are not on the list, but are important.
It wasn't controversial regarding what was on the list. It was really about appropriation amounts. And so it started out everyone kind of fighting for their piece. But as we evolved, we recognized the needs of each, and we came to an equitable agreement. So it really wasn't about specific projects, but rather about the appropriation, how much. And the county this year got significantly more than they normally get, because the majority of people do live in the city, but they were able to make a case that seemed valid. Thank you, Sylvia.
Emma, do you have a question?
I had a really quick one. Is there same-day voter registration for this?
Yes. Same-day voter registration, and I think there is not early voting, but you can go get an absentee ballot. Is that correct? Pick that up, fill it out. You cannot do that.
Okay. One question. Is that a question, Ed?
You just went and voted.
Okay. Okay.
Early voting.
Just, do we have a question, please? Yeah.
It is important.
maybe she'll help us do that.
May I clarify?
Thank you.
It's called absentee voting still because you didn't put it in the ballot, in the reader. So you folded it up, put it in an envelope, and put it in the box. So it's treated as absentee, not early.
But you can still go to the voting center, get a ballot, and vote. Good. Up to the clerks. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I got mine in the mail.
Okay.
And so I voted last week. So.
Well, it was
Okay.
good to have it cleared up by.
Yes, it's really good to clear it up because I voted a different way, so I wasn't quite sure of all those.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're a little bit out of order. It happens. Eric, you took your cards. How do you want to handle your? Every speaker gets 2 shots spread out. So however you handle your 2 minutes. Yeah. You took the cards from me.
You gave them to me. I thought it was a trick. So, Paredes Hablando, the walls that speak, will be rededicated. What's special about this? It's the story of our Latin heritage in southeast Wyoming throughout the area, and it's done by a man who passed, native of our community, Esteban Lucero. It was commissioned in 2001. It was finished in 2009. It remains a pinnacle 3-part mural that will be on display as part of the Lincoln Community Center's 250th Celebration of America. That celebration will be May 2nd, and I would encourage all of you who have shiny vehicles or barn finds, bring out your vehicle. Show and Shine is the 11th annual of that, and that will be beginning registration 8 a.m. with the Kids Parade workshop at 9, followed by the Kids Parade at 10, and we're hoping for Sheriff's Department and Police Department's participation in that parade. Those requests are yet to be submitted, but we're getting one of them done right here, right now. Thank you, Aaron. And you know, we have great support in our community through these things. I hope to have yours that day, as railroad history will be a topic. The West Side Historic District dedication of a plaque for the area that is West Side, and that will be an honor for 600 homes in that neighborhood. And it's an important thing for community, culture, and unity, and we hope to see you there.
Eric, since he's up here, any questions? He also spoke about feeding
Jim, you
water.
only get one fudge.
Yeah.
You only get one.
We have Eric, stay up. Sheriff, you have a question, please?
Yes, Sheriff.
What's the date again?
Cinco de Mayo. It's the Lincoln Community Center's 250th Celebration of America. It's a Cinco de Mayo, and it is May 2nd, not May 5th. It's Saturday, May 2nd. So good catch.
Sharon, you have a question, please?
Sharon in back.
Sharon in back.
Got my Sharon's confused.
Just a question on the Feeding Laramie Valley. Is that actually at Elway Sports on Saturday, or is it somewhere else?
Thank you very much. That's correct. It will be on Snowy Range Road in West Laramie, not far from the new West Side Human Being of Laramie. So,
thanks, Eric.
thank you all.
Yep. Any, yeah. Oh, he left his cards with, thank you, Eric. Now so, Kevin, any questions for Kevin Christensen, running for U.S. House as a candidate? Sylvia? Kevin, approach the bench. Right, yes, right.
The expeditions.
Right.
Hi, you talked about your background working in BLM, and I was just curious, your thoughts about removing the roadless rule?
Yeah, I think that road list rule is a Forest Service. Is that right? Yeah, so that wasn't part of mine. You know, for the BLM, we did not have any rule that I know of that was similar to that.
Anything else for Kevin? Sharon?
Thank you for being here tonight. I was wondering if you could tell us your position on abortion.
Okay. Well, my view on abortion is aligned with the Wyoming State Constitution. I feel that what the legislature just passed, I think, is likely to be overturned again in Wyoming Supreme Court. I think that the Supreme Court will look at it the same way. I believe it's Article 1, Section 38 of the Wyoming State Constitution, and I think that that is essentially what my position is. I'm a federal candidate, so my position is I want no legislation at the federal level that will cause or force Wyoming to do anything different than what the Wyoming State Legislature and our elected officials in Wyoming want to do.
Okay. One last question. Denise has a question, and then we'll move on. By the way, you're welcome to talk to all these speakers till 8:45. What, is that too late, Marian? Okay, so anyway.
Could you tell us what your position on the sale of public lands is?
I'm strongly opposed to the sale of public lands, with one exception. There was one that I worked on. If you have land that is entirely in holding within the confines of private ownership, and it's not publicly accessible and it costs too much for the federal government to try to administer it and they can't even get to it, those make sense to me to sell to that private landowner, provided that there's also not adjoining landowners that might have an interest in those properties. There's one that's currently being worked in northern Converse County that I had started, and it's a situation where there's small tracts of public land that are entirely in holding of private ownership, and we have a case where a private landowner has had bullets hitting his house from people trespassing to get to the federal land and are hunting on it. And he made a pretty compelling case to me that he ought to have the opportunity to buy those lands, and they're done at fair market value. Otherwise, I added, during my time, I added 36,000 acres of public land, creating an 80,000 acre contiguous block in my district. I'm a strong supporter of public lands, and I believe multiple use of those lands for the benefit of the people of Wyoming and for our country.
Thank you, Kevin. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Any questions for Brett Glass on the government banning internet routers? Going once. Okay, thank you. Any questions for Sheriff Appelhans on his candidacy for re-election? Aaron, step up. Hey, Sylvia?
Hi, I remember the last time that you ran, one of the big issues was getting counseling for people who are admitted to the jail. And I was just wondering what happened with that.
Sure. We've done a lot of work around that. So not only do we provide mental health services for our inmates in the jail as well, but we provide a lot of mental health training for all of our deputies so that they can recognize mental health crisis when they go out on a call. It's interesting that you asked that question because during this week we're having our crisis intervention training that we have periodically through the year. So I have deputies and local law enforcement officers and dispatchers going through that training this week. So we've done a lot to where, like I said, we could on the road better recognize people that are having mental health crisis so that we can deal with that a lot better than in the past. And then also really trying to make sure that people that are introduced into the criminal justice system are actually getting the help that they need. Like I've said before, you know, as being a sheriff, we're cops. We're not doctors or psychologists or anything of the sort. And so when people need help from doctors, mental health professionals, what we try and do is get them the help they need and really try and direct them away from the criminal justice system because it's not the best place and not the appropriate help that they can get.
Jim, I have Eric that had a question, and then Aaron. Can we take 2 more questions?
Yes.
Thank
we
you.
can.
Sheriff Appelhans, the SPET initiative is directly impacting your area of supervision. Would you speak briefly about the importance of that specific purpose excise tax relating to your department?
Sure, I could talk about both. So actually, my department doesn't have any requests on the upcoming special purpose tax. The Albany County Commissioners decided when they got together as a group with Laramie City Council and the town of Rock River to remove the projects from the Albany County Sheriff's Office that we were asking for it. So they are pretty important projects, but they won't be on the special purpose tax. And so my office is going to figure out a way to move forward on some of those projects that we asked for with different sources of funding moving forward.
Aaron, do you have a? Yes, Aaron?
Hello, Sheriff. I was wondering, a lot of us are pretty nervous about the upcoming fire season. And so this is kind of more about his job than his candidacy, but what do you recommend for people to keep track, like when they see smoke, to, what's the best way for us to keep track of what's going on in the county? Because I see that you do Facebook posts and stuff, but is there like one site that we should go to first?
Yes, I think there's multiple places where you can get multiple bits of information on how you guys can stay safe during this upcoming fire season. So obviously a plug for Albany County Sheriff's page where we share a lot of information, but the Albany County Emergency Management Office as well puts a lot of information out, and they work underneath the Sheriff's Office. And you can sign up for alerts both within the county and the city as well. And so when we have, knock on wood, the small grass fires, small wildland fires that we've had so far this year, we've been able to send out those alerts to residents in the area if they need to evacuate or if they need to be ready to evacuate, and we try and get that information out as soon as possible. So please sign up for those alerts. You can go to the Albany County website, or you can go and find information either on Albany County Sheriff's Office page, Facebook page, Albany County Emergency Management, all of that stuff is there. So please sign up. So and the last thing I'll say about that as well is that we have a pretty good notification program that's called Ready, Set, Go, red light, yellow light, green light, which really kind of explains it as easy as possible of when you need to be ready to evacuate, when you really need to think about evacuating, and then when you just need to get the heck out of there. So so definitely look at that. You'll see those notifications. A lot of education's coming out from Albany County Emergency Management on that as well. So like I said, take a look, get signed up for those alerts, and pray for some moisture.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Sheriff. Anything? That's it? Okay. And Sheriff will hang around till way late. So. Any questions for Emma Jones with her issue and Sierra Club, I guess, in general?
I was told to clarify the location for the roadless event.
Sure.
It is at Night Heron Coffee and Books on Wednesday, April 29th, starting at 5:30 p.m.
Any, yes.
This might be a silly question, but you ask, what do you mean roadless? Do you mean, I thought in the forests there were roads in case of fire.
Yeah.
And now they're saying no roads? What do you mean by roadless?
Yeah, that's a good question. There are like several thousand miles of existing roads within our national forests. This is just protecting places that don't have any existing roads. At the time that the roadless rule was established in 2001, it just protects those areas from new road development. So it's not getting rid of roads that we already have. It's just taking places that we know are, pristine, undeveloped, and protecting those specific areas from road development. So like in the snowies, a lot of the snowy range that's not already, like, that doesn't already have existing roads, a lot of that area is a designated roadless area. A lot of Sheep Mountain is a designated roadless area. And so it's just places that aren't developed and making sure that they're protected from new development. Yeah.
Anything else for Emma? Thank you, Emma. Any questions for Representative Chestick? Okie dokie. Thank you, Ken. Questions for Jimmy Skogard, sorry. Why you got off the couch? Why he's running for U.S. Senate, I guess. Any questions? Approach. Sharon, you have a question? The other Sharon.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I'll ask you the same question I asked Kevin, and that's your position on abortion.
Yeah, you know, that brings up a kind of an interesting story. I launched my campaign last April, and I went to the Central Wyoming Fair and Rodeo in Casper, and I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to do it the grassroots way because I don't have a war chest and probably never will. And, I'm a Wyomingite. I don't need a war chest. I just need the will to get the job done. And so one of the first questions that happened was a guy walked up and says, "What's your position on abortion?" He has his wife and his child in a carriage, a little stroller there. And I said, well, got to thinking, and he just up and walked off. I'm like, what's up with that? And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a question that reoccurs during this campaign, and I owe the state of Wyoming an answer. Even though it is a federal issue, and I'm like Kevin, this is a situation for the state to answer. But I will be playing a part in that. And so I said, I got to thinking about my campaign. I'm like, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution and the Wyoming Constitution. So a lady walked up later during the fair and she says, "Jimmy, have you ever read the Wyoming State Constitution?" I'm like, uh-oh. Guess I better get to reading the Wyoming State Constitution. And so I did. And I come across Article 1, Section 38, and I said, there's my answer. There's my answer to abortion. Long before the Supreme Court ruling just came out, I had already formed that opinion that the state of Wyoming owes the protection of personal health care. This was voted in 2012. We as an electorate chose to add this article to our Constitution, our state Constitution. And as your next senator, I'm definitely going to support the Constitution until we, as a state, change that Constitution. And that's my position on abortion. Article 1, Section 38, the Wyoming State Constitution.
Anything else for Jimmy? One, Sylvia?
Hi, recently the report came out about the happiest countries in the world. Our country is way down at the bottom. So I'm curious, what are your ideas to increase happiness in our state and in our country?
Whoa. I think that everyone's voice is just as important as the next. And to do that, we have this wonderful tool, technology that we're currently using right now to divide ourselves one against another, to perpetuate outrage, to perpetuate fear. And that's, to me, is wrong. Why don't we use this to reach out and empower our voices so that we can participate in the representative democracy that we live in? The technology's there, the willpower to implement it is not. I have scaffolded up a proof of concept that this can be done through a series of surveys, done through a series of town halls attached to those surveys, reached out and combined with the data file provided to me by the Secretary of State based on each House district, each Senate district within the state, to aggregate your voices on a certain topic like abortion or other divisive topics like public school funding. You wouldn't think that would be a divisive topic, but it is. Anyway, I scaffolded this out, and I invite everybody to go and look at those surveys. It's just a proof of concept. It can be done. It's at Grassroots MVT, because anyway, to make it a short story, Grassroots MVT, because Grassroots was, to register that URL was about $7,000. To register grassrootsmvt.org was $7.50. And I'm like, that's talking Wyoming politics right there. $7.50. We can afford that. So I built this survey page, and I invite everybody to go create an account, because it will ask you, if you create the account at your house, it'll ask you your location on your cell phone. I suggest you create it with your cell phone so you can verify your account, be a verified registered voter, and have your surveys fall into the bucket for Albany County, whatever House district, whatever Senate district you're in. And then your representatives can go look at how you feel about a certain topic, and they won't have to guess. And if your representatives need to reach, or if you need an answer, I can go on about this. I probably should let somebody else ask a question.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Okay.
A lady reached out to me about grizzly bears. She goes, "What's your position on delisting the grizzly bear?" And I'm like, well, none really. But I said, I'll tell you what I've done. I will scaffold up a survey, and I'll post it on my proof of concept page, grassrootsmbt.org. And then you can go out and complete that survey and tell me if this meets your criteria. So, any other questions?
Thanks, Jimmy. And any last questions for Ed, Council on data centers? Yep. Get up. Denise has a question back there, I think. Come on up, Ed. Off the couch is tough. Well, I mean, you're not even running for office.
No, I'm not.
Denise, you have a question.
Ed, thank you for bringing this topic up. I had heard about I had heard a rumor about this proposed data center, and I didn't know any place where information is available. Do you know how we can find out more? And I mean, I assume it's a secret of the commissioners right now and whatever, but we need to be on top of this, because we can't afford to lose the water or the electricity. And these data centers are not, from what I understand and Cheyenne's experience, they're not going to provide a lot of work for people other than the building of them. There aren't going to be a lot of people running them. It's mostly machines. So I just wondered, do you know where there's more information about this, or how we can go to these meetings and speak up? Thank you.
Well, it's funny you should ask that. I ran out of time. I actually have put together 2 files that I'm willing to share. One of them will give you a direct link to the video of the county commissioners meeting. Now, I'm not trying to say that they did anything secret or anything. Because you kind of hinted that this was secret. It wasn't. It was a public meeting. I just happened to get, a friend of mine sent me the video because I didn't realize they were meeting about it. Otherwise, I would have gone. I wanted to hear what they were going to say. Because the person who spoke there and did the presentation is from Cheyenne Leads, which is their economic development group over there. And I will put these on the back table. It's just got my name and my email on it. And I have 2 files if you want to ask for both of them. One gives you the link to the commissioners' meeting and how to skip over it, because it was a 6-hour meeting. And you really just want to go to hour 3, minute 12 of the video and watch the next 40 minutes. And that will give you a good idea of the information they're getting. The other link that's in that same file is to the Planning and Zoning meeting the next day, where they discussed it, and that's where you'll see we have no regulations currently, and they basically shelved the idea of developing any right now. So public input is really important. And the mention of the Buckhorn, or Project Buckhorn Data Center, was in the Cowboy State Daily of March 30th. Now, if you want the second file, it'll tell you more about what Microsoft is doing in Cheyenne and what some of the other developments around the country are doing for and against the data centers. So I'll put these on, it's just my name and email, but contact me that way and tell me which file you want, or if you want both. They're fairly big files because I included some of the video presentation materials that I copied from the presentation to the county commissioners. They're painting a real rosy picture of data centers. And if you're not familiar, when I asked, if I can just add one thing here, it's not only the amount of electricity that'll be used and could raise rates, although they're saying it won't, because they're guaranteeing that it won't impact local rates. There's water usage to be concerned, and you have a trade-off here. If you go with a closed system, you have to use a lot of energy. If you go with an open water system, you use less energy and a lot more water. And you can use hundreds of thousands of gallons per day for a data center. You have noise. The fans run cooling these things 24/7, 365, and they create noise and vibration. They're going to test the diesel backup generators, and they are diesel. And they test them at least once a month. So those are just some of the considerations. And then there's financing of the infrastructure. In Louisiana, they did a bait and switch. As soon as they got the approval for the data center, they switched and started building shell companies so that there would be no responsibility for the developers if the data center folded. And one of the big economists said, I guess he's an economist, Mark Cuban, he's a billionaire, so he must know something about economics. He said, you know, what people are missing in this whole data center thing is it's a lot like search engines. Do you remember Ask Jeeves? Okay. I was just going to say that there were a lot of search engines. Think of something other than Google right now. And he says the same thing's going to happen to data centers. You'll have 1,500 of them now, and in the years to come, a lot of them will close down.
Jim?
So, Ed, I just have one question. What's your position on data centers? Sit down.
That would
Jim?
take too long to answer.
Okay, wonderful group, wonderful meeting. Thank you so much. What, Ken? Did you raise your?
Yeah, he had a
Are-
question, but Ed rambled like he wants to
Yeah.
do. So do we have time for one more for Ed or not?
If Ed could keep it to a minute.
Roger, you got your timer out, Roger?
You kind of started to address this question. There was an article in the local newspaper recently about the data centers they're proposing. Microsoft is proposing for Cheyenne, and the article said that they're planning to use a closed system that's going to use less water. Do you believe them? And if not, why not?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, and I don't have a nice politician answer for this. What I can say is they're tripling the size of their facility over there with the acquisition of extra land and everything. And Microsoft is blatantly reneging on their commitment to green energy to run these things. They just signed a multi-million-dollar contract with Chevron to fossil fuel power their data centers. So we got more problems than just, and I don't know if you know, Rocky Mountain Power is proposing a new energy thing that they'll bring up in front of our, what's the name of that group? Anyway, the Regulatory Commission, they're going to drop all future wind and solar development. Rocky Mountain Power has decided they're not going to do that anymore. They're just going to keep their coal-fired plants going. So did I get close to answering that? Ask me for my minute's up. Take one of these, send it to me, and I'll send you the file, and you'll get a lot more answers. Jim's hurried to go home.
No, Ed. Again, thank you, everybody. I just always say this because it's true. I'm not being patronizing. I'm just proud of you guys, and PVA is thankful for you. Really. Next meeting, I believe, if I calculated from the voting date, which is the 5th, and I go back to the 4th, that means we meet the 18th, third Monday of the month. Do I have it right, Sharon?
That's correct.
Okay. Hang out. We'll be here at least, I don't know, 8:45. Communicate, whatever. So thank you. Yay, yay. Thanks, Lynn. Yay, right.